man is saying that a woman pulled the gun on her or a gun on him after he fired her. Check it out.
Owner of a popular catering business in Atlanta says a disgruntled employee held him and his staff at gunpoint. Now the woman is behind bars facing charges. Fox 5's Joy Dukes is live with more on that story. Joy.
Yeah, Chris, I can tell you tense moments unfolded here at Tim Morgan's catering business on Chattahoochee Avenue. The self-made chef telling us that many of his staff members are still shaken after a former co-worker of theirs showed up here, walked inside the building you see behind me, and pointed a gun at them. Now, Morgan tells us that that former employee was apparently terminated just a day before for not showing up for an event that she was scheduled to work. Now, he says he notified her that her contract had been terminated, that she needed to turn in her uniform and her keys earlier that day, but she didn't show up until later in the evening. He says that that's when things took a turn for the left, and despite being asked to leave, she pulled out a pistol.
I heard being terminated. She had the keys to the building. She came into the building and she was dressed for the part. She had a hoodie, she had on sweatpants and tennis shoes, and she had a pistol in her waist. Her intention was to kill.
And Morgan says that employee he identified as Harita Benton took his phone and took off. She was arrested later that night and booked into the Fulton County Jail. Now, Benton is charged with simple assault and theft by taking. We'll have more on this developing story coming up for you tonight at 10.
So, number one, this is one of the reasons why I'm very, very apprehensive about opening up certain businesses. When I opened up my first restaurant, you want to do good for the community, but I learned very early on, you got to do good for yourself, and then you got to let the chips lay where they may. I was very, very, very much bothered by the idea that when I first opened up my first restaurant, that we wanted to open it up and don't put any plexiglass and all of that other stuff on there. Now, I was very, very fortunate, and now I'm just a silent investor in other people's stuff. But I was very, very fortunate in that we never got robbed, you know what I'm saying, by gunpoint. We would get robbed by people taking the chicken out the bag and people stealing money. But we never got robbed. We never got any of that type of stuff. And so I was very, very fortunate. But you don't know who these people are. You genuinely don't know who these people are in real life. People be having issues, stuff that they got going on behind the scenes, all of that. So is my mic low? My volume is low? Y'all telling me that my volume is low? I got to turn my volume up? All right, let's see what we can do. I'll see if I can fix that. I'll see if I can turn the volume up. But you don't know who these people are in real life. And so you got to be very, very careful with who you deal with, all right? In addition to that, over in New York City, tenants are complaining about a New York City apartment that they fed up with problems with. Check it out.
That is not a toy or CGI special effects, but a real live big rat crawling across the living room of a 6th floor apartment at 655 Burke Avenue in the Bronx.
Rats in the hallway, garbage be in the hallway.
And that's just the beginning of a long list of problems, according to the fed-up tenants here, who held a news conference Wednesday. They're pleading for someone to put pressure on the building owner and or property manager, identified by them as right.
There's no guy.
For starters, they want their landlord to fix the lack of consistent heat, hot water, and cooking gas in this privately owned building.
We have a girl upstairs, only 6 years old, coughing because the apartments are so cold.
This is the hot plate that he gave us to cook with. It doesn't work, but we've been without gas since June 10th.
But tenants, many of whom are seniors and or disabled.
Yeah, that was a huge rat. Is my mic too loud? Does it sound better? Is that better for y'all or no? Y'all let me know if my mic is better, if it's too loud, what's going on? Let's go with that. Is it too low? Too loud?
say there's no excuse for being consistently forced to rely on kitchen hot plates or the stairs in this 6th floor walk-up. There appears to be a good reason why the elevator doesn't come all the way up to the 6th floor. In our text message exchange with Cohn, he insisted the heat is working and that it was never a problem, and then ordered us to stop reporting fake news. But records from the city's Department of Housing Preservation and Development directly contradict Cohn's claims that everything is just fine. In fact, HPD has more than 300 complaints and violations on file for this one building just within the last few years alone. What do you want?
I can't wait to deep dive a little bit more in Block Club. People have a real misconception of what it takes to be successful in real estate. They genuinely do. They have a real misconception of what it takes to be successful in real estate. And I think that slumlords are the worst, and so they shouldn't be in the business. I also think that over in New York, it's the worst. New York and Los Angeles is the worst places to have rental properties. In addition to that, it's very, very difficult for people to make money when it comes to real estate in New York. As far as being landlords, I would never be a landlord in New York. And they got a rat problem. They had a sanitation problem and they have a rat problem. One thing I can't understand is how are cities that are much larger with more people like Tokyo able to not have a rat problem and not have a problem at all when it comes to sanitation. But we can't get it right here in the United States of America. I don't understand it. I don't understand that. It is too much regulation in New York, Connie. I agree with that. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I reported over the weekend, but I didn't report on it on the Millionaire Morning Show. But city council person in Boston has been arrested for corruption and kickback charges.
Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson refusing to answer questions about the federal charges against her. Prosecutors say she organized a corruption scheme in order to steal $7,000. FBI agents arrested Anderson today, and she made a court appearance late this afternoon. WBZ's Christina Rex was at federal court when Anderson passed on her chance to give an explanation to voters.
Excuse us. Excuse us.
I'm not going to comment.
No, we're not commenting, guys.
Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson silent as reporters try to get answers about allegations of stealing taxpayer money.
I don't know about that.
For your message to your voters.
We have nothing to say to you guys.
But the city councilor was arrested at her Dorchester home early Friday morning by federal agents.
Public officials who line their pockets with taxpayer money erode the trust and confidence of the public in the officials who serve them.
The U.S. attorney says the illegal behavior happened in City Hall in 2023, where Anderson allegedly hired a relative to work for her and gave that relative a $13,000 bonus. Then inside a City Hall bathroom, they alleged these texts were sent. Bathroom and ready. Then that staffer allegedly gave Anderson back $7,000 cash of the taxpayer money. This is not her first run-in with ethics violations, and investigators say Anderson was struggling financially in part because of
a sanction that was imposed by the State Ethics Commission of $5,000 for Ms. Fernandez Anderson hiring immediate family members.
Now some are calling for her resignation. In a statement, Mayor Wu said the serious nature of these charges undermine the public trust and will prevent her from effectively serving the city. I urge the councilor to resign. So does Councilor Ed Flynn.
I believe in the best interest of the city, it's necessary for Councilor Fernandez Anderson to resign.
And Anderson was released after that first hearing, meaning she is a free woman right now. And because these are just allegations, she is still a practicing Boston City Councilor in good standing and could report to work on Monday. In the Seaport, Christina Rex, WBZ.
First of all, she's not going to resign because the one thing I know about people, a lot of people, white people be resigning. It's a little bit different with everybody else because they not missing out on no bag. They got to pay their lawyers and all of that stuff. Even that dude, Trayon White, over there in, Baltimore or D.C., right? He didn't resign. Ain't nobody resigning. Tiffany Henyard, she not resigning. Nobody is resigning because ain't nobody about to miss out on no paycheck. But when they say that, okay, she only did it for $7,000, no, that's the one time that she got caught. A lot of these people take payments, they do kickbacks, and they do it on the smallest level. And you about to risk your freedom, your reputation, and your lifetime position for the bag. I never understood that. I remember when we would go to work, even when we was in a plant, right? And a lot of these guys, they would be committing what I call time card fraud. So, people would do stuff or they'll steal something petty. And then I'll be thinking to myself, like, why would you risk your freedom for something so small and minuscule like that? Or you not even your freedom. Forget your freedom. Why would you risk your bag? We was making over $120,000 a year, sometimes $110,000 a year back in the early 2000s. And these guys were willing to risk their job for small things. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see people steal stuff sometimes, it doesn't make sense to me because in my mind, I think to myself, okay, so what if you get caught, right? What if you go to jail? What if you then get a record? Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, you can't get the job that you want. Why? Because you got something that's on your record from 5, 6 years ago. Then you're going to be running in the Victim Olympics. Robert Dalton said, Anton be telling. I tell if you in my neighborhood doing something. I tell if you steal something from me. Hold on, listen. You can miss me with the no snitching. Y'all can miss me with the no snitching. I don't give a piss about nothing that you talking about. I mind my business. But when you start affecting what I got going on in my neighborhood, in my city, now I'm the type of person, forget the telling part. I'm going to tell you the type of person I am. I'm the type of person that'll tell you, hey man, you need to go and pick up your trash, bro. Like I will pull up on you and be like, hey man, why you throw your stuff out of the door like that? Why you got to disrespect our city? Honest to God, it has been multiple times where I will see somebody throw something out of their car. Chances are I can look at their license plate and tell that they not from the city. I will pull up on them and be like, hey man, that's dirty, bro. Why you do that? You ain't gonna do that in your own neighborhood. You're not gonna do that in your own neighborhood. I'm the type of person to see you doing something you ain't supposed to do and be like, hey man, take that back where you came from. Take that back to where you came from. I'll let you know straight up. Hey man, we don't do that here. We got a different standard. And if more people actually stood up for the right thing, we wouldn't be having half of this stuff that we having inside of our society because they would know or they would get checked or they would think twice about it because that's now your cultural norm.